These further graphic pictures show the consolidation of the beachhead positions and the thrust inland.
The Hindenburg approaches the mooring mast at Lakehurst.
Cameras have been capturing the wild, weird, and wonderful moments of history since the early 1800s. But some of these old photos do more than just show us what happened. They can totally change how we see the past. So let's take a look at some old photos that will seriously alter your brain chemistry and make you rethink everything you thought you knew about history. At just 16 years old, Albina Malihor joined the Slovenian People's Liberation Movement during World War II. By 17, she was fighting bravely against the Nazi occupation and had already been wounded twice in battle. Her courage did not stop there. She continued to resist despite the dangers, showing that even the youngest can stand tall in the face of tyranny. In 1956, a German soldier finally returned home after spending a decade in Soviet captivity. When he left, his son was just a year old. 10 long years later, they were reunited. It was a bittersweet moment that captured the toll war takes on families. Lunch atop a skyscraper is an iconic photo taken in 1932, showing 11 steelworkers casually eating lunch while perched on a beam high above New York City. With no safety harnesses in sight, they seem unfazed by the dizzying height. This image captures the daring spirit of the workers who helped build the city's skyline during the Great Depression. Taken on August 14, 1945, this famous photo shows a sailor kissing a nurse in Times Square, celebrating the end of World War II. Known as VJ Day, the spontaneous kiss became a symbol of relief and joy across the nation. In 1989, an unknown man stood in front of a line of tanks during the Tiananmen Square protests in Beijing. This brave act of defiance against the Chinese government's crackdown became a powerful symbol of resistance and courage. The Hindenburg disaster in 1937 marked the tragic end of the era of airships. As the German passenger airship caught fire while attempting to dock in New Jersey, a photographer captured the terrifying scene. The image of the massive ship engulfed in flames shocked the world and led to the end of airship travel. During blackout conditions in World War II, a farmer was photographed painting white stripes on her cow to make it more visible at night. With road lighting reduced or non-existent, this simple but effective measure helped prevent car accidents. In 1935, a massive dust storm loomed over a Texas town, ready to engulf everything in its path. Poor farming practices combined with severe droughts turned once fertile land into a barren desert. The storm signaled another wave of destruction, forcing families to flee their homes. In 1902, child workers took to the streets of Philadelphia to protest the harsh conditions they endured in factories and mines. Led by the fiery activist Mother Jones, these young laborers, some barely school-aged, demanded better treatment and an end to exploitation. Their bold stand against powerful industries drew national attention and eventually led to significant reforms in child labor laws. On October 1, 1940 in Canada, a young boy ran after his father as he marched off to World War II. The moment reflects the sacrifices made by countless families as loved ones were sent off to fight, often with uncertain futures. In 1925, Smokey Buchanan of the West Palm Beach Police enforced strict swimsuit regulations by measuring women's swimwear right on the beach. This photograph perfectly captured the conservative social norms of the time, where even beachgoers could not escape moral policing. This image shows just how rigid and absurd fashion standards could be, with authorities ensuring no one exposed too much skin. In 1968, Soviet tanks rolled into Prague, marking the brutal invasion of Czechoslovakia. Amidst the chaos, a photographer risked everything to document the moment. The photo was smuggled out of the country and provided the world with undeniable evidence of the Soviet crackdown. In 1885, the face of the Statue of Liberty was photographed before being assembled into its final form. A monumental gift from France to the United States, the statue arrived in 350 individual pieces and was carefully constructed on what is now Liberty Island. Over 4 months, workers pieced together the colossal structure, which soon became a symbol of freedom, democracy, and the enduring friendship between France and the United States. In March 1958, Elvis Presley was drafted for military service. This halted his skyrocketing music career. Instead of seeking an exemption, The king of rock and roll chose to fulfill his duty. This earned him the respect of fans and the public alike. Stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, and later in West Germany, Elvis carried out his military duties with dedication. His decision to serve reinforced his image as a grounded, all-American hero. In 1957, a group of African-American students, known as the Little Rock Nine, bravely entered Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, marking a historic moment in the civil rights movement. Escorted by federal troops, the students faced hostile crowds as they became the first to integrate the previously all-white school. In 1938, England was gripped by fear of chemical warfare. A woman tested a gas-resistant stroller designed to protect children from potential attacks. This peculiar device was part of the British government's efforts to prepare for the worst. It shows how much anxiety had built just before World War II. In 1962, test pilot George Aird was ejected sideways from his aircraft during a flight gone wrong. He crash-landed in a nursery, miraculously surviving with fractured legs. Arnold Schwarzenegger is seen in the 1960s at his physical peak. During this period, he won major titles like Mr. Universe, laying the foundation for a career that would later span acting, business, and politics. In June 1934, Venice Beach was alive with the action of a beach volleyball game. Here we can see some women in vintage swimwear playing volleyball on stilts. A pearl diver from the Mississippi River prepares to dive using a car's gas tank as an improvised helmet in 1938. The tank, repurposed as an air chamber, allowed the diver to breathe while searching for pearls underwater. In 1935, Tokyo, a noodle delivery man was photographed expertly pedaling his bicycle while balancing multiple boxes of soba noodles with one hand. Soba, which is a traditional Japanese dish, has long been a staple in the country's culinary culture. This image showcases the dedication and skill required to pedal through the bustling streets while making sure that these beloved noodles reached hungry customers across the city. In 1885, explorers made a remarkable discovery in the dense jungles of Honduras. They found an ancient Mayan statue. The Mayan civilization once thrived in Mesoamerica. Hidden for centuries, the statue provided valuable insights into Mayan art, religion, and society. In 1928, Soviet peasants experienced an amusing moment as they listened to the radio for the first time. The introduction of radio technology brought a wave of modernity to rural Soviet life, connecting isolated communities with the wider world. For these peasants, the radio was a symbol of progress, delivering news, music, and propaganda directly into their homes. In 1915, a wounded British soldier is seen receiving bandages from a Red Cross dog. These dogs were trained to carry medical supplies in small backpacks, reaching soldiers in dangerous, inaccessible areas. This photograph is from April 1918, when British soldiers had their eyes bandaged from exposure to poison gas, and they were struggling to walk in a line toward a medical station. The use of mustard gas in World War I left many with lasting injuries, including blindness and severe burns. This image shows the brutal impact of chemical warfare, where the damage extended far beyond the battlefield. In 1922, explorers marveled at the gigantic Moai statues on Easter Island, Polynesia. These massive stone figures, carved centuries earlier by the island's ancient inhabitants, sparked curiosity and awe. Amid the devastation of post-World War II Europe, a photograph from 1946 captures the sheer joy of an Austrian boy receiving a new pair of shoes. This was a time when most of the people did not have access to food, clothing, and shelter. Such a gift was nothing short of a miracle for this boy. In 1904, a German immigrant couple with their 8 children arrived at Ellis Island, the gateway to America. Like millions of others, they crossed the Atlantic in search of a better life and to chase the American dream. Behind the scenes at Disneyland, the employee canteen served as a retreat for the theme park's hardworking staff, known as cast members. Away from the magical hustle, this space allowed them to recharge before returning to their roles. In 1936, England, a group of children took it upon themselves to care for a dog whose owner had passed away. The kids made sure the dog was fed, sheltered, and kept company, taking turns to look after it. Despite their efforts, the dog's sadness is clear, likely missing its owner and unaware of what had happened. In 1953, during Queen Elizabeth II's coronation, a child was seen sitting alone at a party in Chelsea, England. This image reflects the social distancing measures in place to prevent the spread of contagious diseases, even during festive occasions. In the 1880s, a rat catcher worked tirelessly in the sewers of Liverpool, United Kingdom. These specialized workers were important in controlling the rat population, which was a vital task in preventing the spread of diseases like the Black Plague. By keeping the streets and food supplies safe from infestations, rat catchers played an important role in safeguarding public health and the economy, even if their work was often dirty and dangerous. In 1945, Jewish prisoners were photographed after being liberated from a Nazi death train at the end of World War II. The image captured their first moments of freedom after enduring the horrors of the Holocaust. These trains had carried countless victims to concentration camps, symbolizing the brutality of the Nazi regime. The liberation was the end of unimaginable suffering and the beginning of a long journey toward healing and remembrance. In 1914, Chester McDuffie stood proudly in New York beside his groundbreaking armored diving suit. This innovative suit was equipped with ball bearings, which allowed for greater mobility and safety at extreme depths. McDuffie used this invention to set a new American deep-sea diving record, reaching a depth of 212 feet. His work marked a significant advance in underwater exploration, and it opened up new possibilities for marine research and industry. In the 1950s, a couple posed next to their BMW Isetta, a microcar that became a symbol of post-war innovation. Small, fuel-efficient, and with a distinctive front door design, the Isetta represented the quest for practical and affordable mobility during a time of economic reconstruction. As Europe rebuilt, this tiny car became a popular choice. In 1951, Albert Einstein was captured in a spontaneous moment, sticking his tongue out at a photographer. Taken after a birthday celebration, the image revealed a different side of the brilliant physicist, playful, irreverent, and full of character. In 1915, France, a dog handler read a message delivered by a messenger dog that had just swum across a canal during World War I. These brave dogs were trained to carry critical information through dangerous terrain and enemy lines, often where other communication methods failed. Their loyalty and courage made them invaluable to the armies. In 1936, Jesse Owens crossed the finish line of the 200-meter race at the Berlin Olympics, setting a world record with a time of 20.7 seconds. His victory took place under the watchful eyes of Adolf Hitler, who aimed to showcase Aryan superiority through the games. Owens, an African-American athlete, shattered these racist ideologies with his incredible performance. In 1933, Italian inventor Davide Scislaghi tested his amazing one-wheel motorcycle, also known as a motorized unicycle, in France. The design challenged the conventional two-wheel structure of motorcycles, balancing on a single tire. Despite its innovative concept, the one-wheel motorcycle never became mainstream, but it remains a fascinating example of how inventors pushed the boundaries of vehicle design during that era. An 1890 image shows a woman in Ireland working at a spinning wheel, a tool important for spinning fibers into thread before the Industrial Revolution. The spinning wheel was a key part of rural life, especially in the cotton textile industry, allowing manual production of threads that were later woven into fabrics. A man is shown holding a punt gun, a massive shotgun used for hunting ducks. This weapon could take down over 50 birds in one shot, reflecting the intense hunting practices of the time. Often mounted on small boats called punts, the punt gun was a commercial hunter's tool of choice. However, its devastating impact on bird populations led to its ban in the late 1960s. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell, signaling the end of the Cold War and the reunification of East and West Germany. Crowds gathered to tear down the barrier that had divided families and a nation for nearly 3 decades. In 1936, August Landmesser made a bold statement by refusing to salute Hitler during a ship-launching event in Hamburg. His silent protest was driven by his marriage to a Jewish woman, Irma Eckler, which led to severe persecution under Nazi laws. Landmesser's refusal to conform cost him dearly. He was imprisoned, separated from his family, and later forced into military service, where he disappeared. In 1918, during the Spanish flu pandemic, a streetcar conductor in Seattle became known for his strict enforcement of mask rules. He refused to let anyone board without a face covering, with no exceptions. These public health measures helped prevent the spread of the deadly virus, which infected a third of the world's population. In 1957, a llama made an unlikely appearance in Times Square, New York City, adding a touch of surrealism to the streets. The sight of this animal amidst the chaos of the city was both amusing and bizarre. It perfectly captured the quirky spirit of mid-20th century New York. In 1986, a fleet of Concorde planes lined up at London's Heathrow Airport, representing the height of luxury air travel. These sleek, supersonic aircraft could cross the Atlantic in about 3 hours. They redefined speed and efficiency in commercial aviation. Operated primarily by British Airways and Air France, the Concorde became an icon of innovation and engineering. The idea retired on October 24, 2003. In 1965, an American soldier in Vietnam was photographed where his helmet read, "War is hell." This photograph captured the disillusionment felt by many troops fighting in a war that was increasingly seen as unwinnable and unjust. In 1889, Alexander Gustave Eiffel was photographed with a friend exploring the newly completed Eiffel Tower. Initially met with criticism, the tower was designed by Eiffel for the Paris Universal Exposition. It soon became a global symbol of engineering and innovation. Italian troops in the Alps are shown lifting a heavy gun, a dog, and a soldier up a mountain during World War I. The rugged terrain of the Italian Alps presented extreme challenges, requiring inventive logistics and the use of animals to transport supplies. Around 1917 in Manhattan, a horse-drawn carriage and a modern streetcar moved side by side. This snapshot shows how New York City was evolving. Old and new modes of transportation were sharing the crowded streets as the city surged forward into the modern age. In 1914, workers dangled high above the East River, painting the Brooklyn Bridge to keep it in pristine condition. The bridge, completed in 1883, was more than just a way to cross the river. It was a marvel of engineering and a symbol of New York City's progress. These brave painters played an important role in preserving this iconic structure. In 1951, during the Korean War, Chinese soldiers were caught on camera begging a South Korean soldier for their lives. Chinese forces had entered to support North Korea, while South Korean soldiers, backed by UN allies, fiercely defended the South. This scene shows the harsh realities and moral dilemmas faced on the battlefield. In 1936, photographer Dorothea Lange captured the haunting image of a weary mother with her children during the Great Depression. The woman was a migrant worker in California, desperately trying to provide for her family. In the 1940s, a worker diligently chipped away at one of the colossal faces on Mount Rushmore. The monument is dedicated to 4 U.S. presidents. The workers' task was far from easy, but their efforts turned stone into a symbol of national pride. In 1888, a Catholic woman and her Protestant husband were buried side by side in a Dutch cemetery, but they were separated by a wall due to religious rules. Despite the physical barrier, their graves were placed close together, with sculptures of their hands reaching across the divide. This touching gesture symbolizes their enduring love, defying the religious tensions of the time. In 1942, a group of women was hard at work in a munitions factory, producing essential supplies for the war effort. With so many men off fighting in World War II, women stepped into roles traditionally held by men, proving their capability. In 1969, the Woodstock Music and Art Fair brought together over 400,000 people for a weekend of peace, love, and music. Young people from across the country gathered on a farm in Bethel, New York, to witness legendary performances by artists like Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. Woodstock was the ultimate symbol of the 60s and how music can unite people. Just like we are amazed by these old photos, it makes you wonder which pictures from our time will totally blow people's minds 2 or 3 centuries from now. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to watch more amusing content, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel, because we have got a lot more of this. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.